Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Fresh Friday. I'm excited to be here with you today to talk about Christmas cookies. It is so many people's favorite time of year, and even though things are different this year, that doesn't mean we can't still make some delicious cookies. So in my family, we do a baking day where we make all of these breads and cakes and cookies that we usually only make once a year during Christmas, and it is one of my favorite days of the year. I have so many memories from it, and I just love baking with family. And so if you are looking for some delicious recipes, I am here to show you, because today we are going to be making hot chocolate cookies. We're also going to be making some thumbprint cookies, and we are also making apple bread. And these are all really delicious. So for the apple bread, I used apples that I got from Quarles Farm. And then for the thumbprint cookies, you know how there's jam in the middle, I used a raspberry pear jam from Quarles Farm. So if you can't tell already, Quarles Farm is our featured farm of the week. You might have seen that at 11 today on our post, but Quarles Farm is a really great farm that I have gotten to know personally. Jan and her husband run a really, really great farm, and their daughter Miranda is awesome to work with. They make so many different things, and they grow fruits and vegetables on top of it all, and they raise meat. So if you are looking for any kind of vegetables, meat, all different kinds of breads. I mean, they make these small breads, and then they make bigger loaves, and oh my gosh, all of these flavored breads, and it's really delicious. And on top of that, they have jams and jellies and canned goods, and it's amazing. And pro tip, if you are looking for something that is not a jam or jelly, get the apple butter. The bourbon apple butter is impeccable, and they have a bourbon apple butter, a regular apple butter, a maple apple butter. So just say apple butter 5 times fast. But they are really great people to work with, and they have a long running history on that farm, and they're really just great people to support during this time. So let's get into making the cookies, and I hope you guys give this a try. Thanks. We're going to get started with the apple bread, and to get this ready to go, we are going to toast up our 1 cup of chopped pecans. Just put this in the oven at 350 for about 5 to 7 minutes, and you'll know they're ready when you start to smell them. For our dry ingredients, we are going to combine AP flour, cinnamon, nutmeg, salt, and baking powder, and then just give this a good stir to make sure that everything is combined before we start to do our wet ingredients. In a separate bowl, you are going to add in your eggs, sugar, vegetable oil, and applesauce, and give this a good mix as well. We're going to add in the wet ingredients to the dry ingredients, give it a really good mix, but you only want to mix until it's fully incorporated. Don't overmix it. Then we're going to add in half of our 1 cup of the toasted pecans, and then we're going to add in 2 cups of chopped apples. So I have some really beautiful Macintosh apples here from Quarles that I just took the skin off, gave a nice chop to, and I'm putting in this. And while this will look kind of lumpy, the bread is going to rise around the apples, and it's going to be really beautiful. So just go with the flow with me here. And we're going to add that into a greased baking loaf pan, smooth that out. Then we will finally give it a nice topping of the rest of our chopped pecans and a cinnamon sugar dusting. Bake this at 350 for about 55 to 60 minutes, and you want to insert a toothpick and let it come out clean, and then it's ready to come out and ready to eat. For the thumbprint cookies, we are going to be mixing together the dry ingredients, which is just flour and salt, giving that a good mix. And then behind the scenes, I am cutting up the unsalted butter into about tablespoon chunks and putting it back in the fridge so it can be cold for our mixer. On our stand mixer fitted with the paddle attachment, we are just going to mix the cold butter and sugar together. It's going to take a little bit because the butter is cold, but you want this to combine and start to get a little fluffy. And then we're going to add in our almond extract, give it another little mix, and then we're going to start adding in our dry ingredients. And we're doing this in sections just until it starts to come together, and you'll see that it starts to come together on the paddle attachment, and that's when you know that it is ready. Also, be sure to use a spatula and scrape down the sides of the bowl as you are going, just to make sure that everything gets incorporated. Roll the cookie dough into about tablespoon-sized bites, and then you are going to use your thumb to make an indentation for the jam to go into. And just a little FYI, if you do go off of the cookie indentation, the jam will leak out onto the cookie sheet, but that is okay. They taste the same. They may not look the prettiest, but as long as they taste good, that's all that matters. Once these are ready to go, we will put them in the fridge for 20 minutes, and then we are going to put them in the oven at 350 for about 15 minutes. And you'll know they're ready when the edges are starting to get a little golden brown. As you can see, I went over the indentation a little bit, but that's okay. And we are going to make our glaze now. This is just powdered sugar, some almond extract, and enough water to get the consistency that you're looking for. I would recommend sifting your powdered sugar or really mixing it well, because the lumps in it will clog your icing spout. And that's what you see me doing through most of this, is just making sure to get the lumps through the hole. But it all worked out, and they look really good and taste really good too. And finally, for our hot chocolate cookies, we are going to mix together our dry ingredients. So I have my flour here, my hot cocoa mix that I got locally from Nate's in Lexington, and then I also added in salt, baking soda, and baking powder, and I'm just going to mix this until well combined. In the bowl of my stand mixer, I have my softened butter, and I'm going to add in the brown sugar and traditional sugar, and we're going to cream it together until it is light and fluffy. Once it gets to that stage, we're going to add in our eggs and vanilla, give that another mix, and then gradually start to add in our dry ingredients. This is another batter that you don't want to overwork, so once it just starts to come together, even if it is thick and a little bit dry, it is ready to go. Make sure you are scraping down the sides of your bowl again, just to make sure that everything gets incorporated. Once that comes together, you are going to mix in your chocolate chips and your marshmallow bits. It's important to let you know that you do not want to use mini marshmallows, because that will just be a gooey mess. You want to use dehydrated mini marshmallows, or there are mallow bits that they sell at the store, or even if you have a Swiss Miss packet and those have the marshmallow lovers with them, that's really good to use as well. Just don't use mini marshmallows, the traditional kind. Let that dough hang out in the fridge for at least 30 minutes, and once you pull it out, use a scoop to put them on your baking sheet. They will bake in the oven at 350 for about 9 to 11 minutes. Don't these look lovely? They smell and taste amazing. I can't wait to take this to my family just so that it gets out of my kitchen and I don't eat all of it. But that is one of the reasons for the season, and I am so excited about all of these. I can't wait to be in a normal year and be able to make these for holiday parties and for family and friends. But even if it's just you, this is a great recipe to try, and I hope you guys give them a try. So thank you so much. Have a good week, and I'll see you next week.